TOEFL Integrated Writing Task. Writing based on reading and listening. For this task, you'll read a passage about an academic topic. A clock at the top right of your screen will tell you how much time you have to read. You should take notes on the passage while you read. The passage will then be removed, and you will listen to a lecture on the same topic. As you listen, you should also take notes. You will be able to see the reading passage again when it is time for you to write. You may use your notes to help you answer the question. You will then be asked to write a response that asks you about the relationship between the lecture to which you just listened and the reading passage. Using information from the reading passage and the lecture, answer the question as completely as possible. Please note that this question does not ask you for your personal opinion. Your response will be judged on the quality of your writing and on the completeness and accuracy of the content. When the mathematical laws of probability are applied to the known facts of biology, the odds against the incredible organized complexity of our biological world evolving through blind chance plus time are so astronomical in size that, for all practical purposes, evolution is mathematically impossible. In fact, the more we discover about the incredibly intricate, organized complexity of the biological world which exists at the molecular level, the more amazing it is that the evolutionists can actually believe it is all a product of pure blind chance over time. There is a complete and systematic lack of transitional life forms, these missing links that evolutionists call, between the various kinds of life in the fossil record. This world would not be the case if the theory of evolution was a valid hypothesis. Sometimes evolutionists have tried to make a case that this or that newly discovered fossil was a missing link, but all such attempts have ended in failure. No missing links have ever been discovered among the voluminous number of fossils found so far. In fact, the fossil record also shows a sudden, inexplicable appearance of a wide variety of both simple and complex life forms. However, if evolution were true, and I'm not saying it is, but if evolution were true, there would only be a very gradual increase in both the numbers and complexity of such organisms. Although it is true that we have not uncovered 100% of the fossil record, a voluminous amount of fossils have been discovered, certainly enough for basic trends or patterns to be ascertained. Therefore, certain fundamental conclusions can be drawn based upon the available known evidence, and so far at least, the theory of evolution is not supported by the known facts. Unfortunately, evolutionary scientists sometimes will try to support their opinions with erroneous assumptions and outright misrepresentations of the actual fossil record. For example, sometimes fossils have not been found in the order or progression that was anticipated, so the, quote, record, end quote, was conveniently changed to conform to their evolutionary presuppositions. Nevertheless, it is a scientific fact that the fossil record does not show a gradual increase in both the numbers and complexity of organisms, thereby disproving the theory of evolution. The genetic code in any living cell provides extremely detailed instructions to all that cell concerning its inherited characteristics and attributes. So it will only allow a limited amount of change and variation to occur without inducing sterilization or death. Accordingly, the genetic code will not allow, under any circumstances, the drastic changes and continuous mutations demanded by the theory of evolution. Moreover, there is no evidence of gradually changing DNA codes in nature that would allow periodic mutations to occur which would gradually transform a given type of organism over long periods of time into a completely different type of organism. Instead, organisms can mutate only so much before insurmountable DNA limits are reached. That is what the evidence demonstrates. Therefore, as previously noted, you will never see a mouse mutate into an elephant, no matter how much time you allow for the alleged evolutionary process to occur. So even though limited mutations occur in organisms, it is impossible for drastic or unlimited mutations, for example, evolution, to occur. Evolutionists frequently take the biological evidence proving that living organisms do experience a limited amount of change and variation, and then fallaciously expand such evidence to prove something entirely different and unsupportable by the evidence, namely, the alleged existence of unlimited change and mutation in life forms. Obviously, such an argument violates logic because it goes way beyond the evidence at hand. Evolutionists cannot even begin to explain how the alleged evolutionary mechanism in living cells operates. Although modern biochemistry can explain complex chemical changes and mutations in living organisms, there is no explanation about why or how an inexorable drive for ever greater organized complexity would exist in living organisms if evolution were true. This problem is further compounded when the laws of mathematical probability are applied to the evolutionary equation. Furthermore, you would have to develop rational explanations for various animals and insects that possess delicately balanced attributes that would have destroyed them if they had tried to develop such attributes through the slow, gradual process of evolutionary change. Evolutionists cannot explain how life could spontaneously generate from non-life, nor can they duplicate such a feat despite their impressive scientific knowledge and sophisticated laboratory equipment. Evolutionists cannot explain how and why there is something in the universe rather than absolute nothingness, and not even they really believe that something could spontaneously generate from nothing. Now, when I say absolute nothingness, I mean the complete absence of both energy and matter, a completely pure vacuum that is totally devoid of anything. Obviously, the evolutionist faces an insurmountable challenge to his theory in this regard. One of the most basic fundamental laws of science, the second law of thermodynamics, states that things in nature always tend to dissolve and break down with the passage of time, not grow more complex, which would be the case if evolution were true. Obviously, this law of science is the most devastating to the theory of evolution, and desperate arguments which postulate that developing cells and organisms could have used the energy of the sun to overcome this tendency toward breakdown are absolutely irrelevant. Developing cells and organisms simply would not have had the ability to capture and utilize such energy in the manner that fully developed organisms can. Evolutionists postulate that life began eons ago in a primordial soup of organic chemicals involving an extremely complex process that culminated in the creation of a living cell. The only problem is that oxygen would have destroyed the would-be cell in its early stages of development. So, evolutionists have also postulated that the Earth's atmosphere once upon a time contained only methane, ammonia, and water vapor, but no free oxygen. Unfortunately for the evolutionist, recent scientific discoveries have proven conclusively that no such atmosphere ever existed. Read the question below. Use the remaining time indicated to plan and write your response. Your response will be judged on the quality of your writing, as well as how well your response presents the points in the lecture and their relationship to the reading passage. Typically, an effective response consists of 150 to 225 words. Citing at least 5 reasons, explain how the lecture calls into question some of the points mentioned in the reading passage.